The fall from grace. The perfect life. Elena Monroe stood on the balcony of her family's mansion, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of gold and crimson. At 25, she had everything a person could dream of. Her father's technology company was worth billions. Her engagement to Marcus Blackwood, the charming CEO of a rival firm, was the talk of high society. Her best friend Sophia had been by her side since childhood. Life was perfect, or so she thought. The Monroe family had built their empire from nothing. Elena's grandfather started with a small electronics shop, and her father turned it into a tech giant. Elena wasn't just a rich girl living off her family's money. She had a master's degree in business and worked hard in the company. She earned respect through her ideas and dedication, not just her last name. Tonight was special. Her engagement party was in 2 hours. 300 guests would fill the grand ballroom downstairs. Designers had decorated every corner with white roses and crystal lights. The cake alone cost more than most people's cars. Everything was ready for the celebration that would unite two powerful families. Elena looked at her reflection in the mirror. Her red dress hugged her curves perfectly. Diamonds sparkled at her neck and ears, gifts from Marcus. Her dark hair fell in waves down her back. She looked like a princess from a fairy tale. But something felt wrong. A small voice in her head whispered warnings she chose to ignore. ####the first crack. Elena, you look stunning. Sophia walked into the room, wearing a silver gown that shimmered with every step. Her blonde hair was styled in an elegant updo. She had been Elena's best friend for 15 years. They shared everything: secrets, dreams, and even clothes. Thank you, sophomore. You look beautiful too. Elena hugged her friend, breathing in her familiar perfume. I can't believe this is really happening. In a few months, I'll be Mrs. Blackwood. Sophia's smile seemed stiff, but Elena was too excited to notice. Yes, you will. Marcus is a lucky man. Something in her voice sounded strange, almost bitter, but Elena dismissed it as wedding stress. Sophia had been helping plan everything and seemed tired lately. Have you seen Marcus? He said he'd be here an hour ago. Elena checked her phone again. No messages. That was unusual. Marcus always texted her constantly throughout the day. Sweet messages about how much he loved her and couldn't wait to see her. Oh, he called me. He's stuck in traffic but will be here soon. Sophia looked away as she spoke, fidgeting with her bracelet. Elena thought nothing of it. Traffic in the city was always terrible, especially on Friday evenings. The party started without the groom. Elena smiled and greeted guests, making excuses for Marcus's absence. Her father looked worried, but he didn't say anything. He had never fully trusted Marcus, though he never explained why. Elena had thought it was just typical father behavior, being overprotective of his only daughter. An hour passed. Then 2. Marcus finally arrived, looking flustered and apologetic. His dark hair was messy, and his tie was slightly crooked. I'm so sorry, darling. A major crisis at work. You know how it is. He kissed her cheek quickly, his lips cold against her skin. Elena wanted to believe him. She needed to believe him. But something felt off. His shirt had a small stain she didn't recognize. His cologne smelled different, mixed with another scent. A woman's perfume. The same perfume Sophia wore. #### The betrayal unveiled. The party ended at midnight. Guests left in expensive cars, full of champagne and gossip. Elena's feet hurt from her high heels, but her heart hurt more from the growing suspicion. She decided to surprise Marcus at his downtown apartment. Maybe they could talk about whatever was bothering her. She used her key to enter his building. The doorman smiled and waved her through. She took the elevator to the top floor, her heart racing. Maybe she was being paranoid. Maybe work really had kept him busy. Maybe that perfume was from a female colleague hugging him congratulations. The apartment was dark except for a light coming from the bedroom. Elena heard voices. Laughter. A woman's voice she knew too well. Her hand shook as she pushed open the bedroom door. What she saw destroyed her world in an instant. Marcus and Sophia were together in his bed, wrapped in each other's arms. They were laughing about something, completely unaware of her presence. Empty wine glasses sat on the nightstand. Their clothes were scattered across the floor. You were right, Marcus was saying. She's so naive. She believes everything I tell her. A few more months and half of Monroe Tech will be mine through the marriage. Then we can. He stopped when he saw Elena standing in the doorway. Her face was white as paper. Her whole body trembled. The engagement ring on her finger suddenly felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Elena! Sophia gasped, pulling the sheet up to cover herself. But there was no real shame in her eyes. Instead, Elena saw something that made her blood run cold. Triumph. Her best friend looked almost happy to be caught. How long? Elena's voice came out as a whisper. She wanted to scream, to cry, to break everything in the room. But shock held her frozen in place. Marcus got out of bed, not even bothering to look apologetic anymore. Does it matter? Look, Elena, this was business. Your father would never sell the company, but through you I could get controlling interest. I need those patents your company owns. Sophia and we've been together for 2 years. She understood the plan from the beginning. 2 years. They had been lying to her for 2 years. Every smile, every hug, every shared moment had been fake. Elena felt like the floor was disappearing beneath her feet. You never loved me? Love. Marcus laughed, a cruel sound that cut through her heart. You're a means to an end, Elena. A very wealthy means to an end. Sophia loves me. You were just too blind to see what was right in front of you. Hashtag the staged accident. Elena ran from the apartment, tears streaming down her face. She drove aimlessly through the city, her vision blurred by tears and rain that had started falling. Her phone kept ringing. Her father, Marcus, even Sophia. She ignored them all. She didn't know where she was going until she found herself on Cliff Road, a dangerous winding path along the coast that locals avoided at night. The rain was getting heavier. Thunder rumbled in the distance. She should turn back, but she couldn't face anyone. Not yet. Headlights appeared behind her, coming fast. Too fast. The car rammed into her from behind, sending her vehicle spinning. Elena screamed as she fought for control. Another hit, harder this time. Her car broke through the guardrail and sailed into the darkness. The last thing she remembered before everything went black was her car hitting the water. Cold, dark water that pulled her down like hungry hands. She thought about her father, about all the dreams she'd had, about the life that had been stolen from her. Then nothing. Hashtag the miracle. Elena woke up 3 weeks later in a small hospital far from the city. A fisherman had found her washed up on a beach 20 miles from where her car went into the water. She had been barely alive, her body broken and bruised. The doctors said it was a miracle she survived. But Elena didn't feel miraculous. She felt dead inside. The nurse explained that her car had been discovered at the bottom of the cliff. Everyone thought she had died. There had been a funeral. The news had covered the tragic death of the Monroe heiress. Your father, Elena whispered through cracked lips. Does he know I'm alive? The nurse shook her head sadly. We haven't been able to identify you yet. Your face was badly injured and you had no identification. We've been calling you Jane Doe. Elena looked at her reflection in the small mirror the nurse held up. Her face was covered in healing cuts and bruises. Her dark hair had been cut short by the medical team. She barely recognized herself. And in that moment, a plan began forming in her mind. If everyone thought she was dead, she could become someone new. She could investigate what really happened that night. The accident had been no accident. Someone had forced her off that road. Was it Marcus? Sophia? Or someone else who wanted her gone? Hashtag rising from the ashes. Don't tell anyone who I am, Elena said to the doctor when he came for his rounds. Please. Someone tried to kill me. If they know I survived, they'll try again. The doctor, an older man with kind eyes, studied her carefully. Are you sure about this? Your family must be worried. My family thinks I'm dead. Let them keep thinking that for now. I need time to heal and to figure out who wants me dead. Elena's voice was stronger now, filled with determination that surprised even her. Over the next 3 months, Elena recovered in that small hospital. The doctors performed surgeries to fix her broken bones. Physical therapy helped her walk again. But the biggest change was internal. The naive, trusting girl who had believed in love and friendship died in that ocean. Someone new was being born from those ashes. Elena Monroe was dead, but someone else would rise to take her place. Someone stronger. Someone who knew that trust was a luxury she could no longer afford. Someone who would make those who betrayed her pay for every lie, every moment of pain, every stolen dream. She spent her days planning. The hospital had internet access and she used it to research everything. Marcus had indeed gained control of parts of Monroe Tech after her death. The board had been sympathetic to the grieving fiancé. Her father had withdrawn from public life, broken by grief. Sophia had stood by Marcus's side during the funeral, playing the supportive friend role perfectly. The nurse, Maria, became Elena's only confidant. She helped Elena dye her hair platinum blonde, a dramatic change from her natural dark color. Colored contacts turned her brown eyes to striking green. When the swelling finally went down, Elena's face looked different enough that she could walk past her own father without being recognized. #### the return. 6 months after the accident, a new woman walked into the city that had once been Elena Monroe's home. She called herself Victoria Sterling, a successful tech entrepreneur from Europe, looking to invest in American companies. She had money, transferred from secret accounts Elena had set up years ago that no one knew about. Victoria Sterling was everything Elena Monroe had been taught not to be. She was cold, calculating, and ruthless. She wore designer suits instead of soft dresses. Her smile never reached her eyes. She trusted no one and questioned everything. The first step of her plan was simple: get close to Marcus and Sophia without them recognizing her. She needed to understand the full extent of their betrayal. She needed to know if they had tried to kill her or if someone else was involved. And she needed to make them suffer the way she had suffered. Victoria rented a penthouse apartment in the most expensive building in the city, coincidentally the same building where Marcus lived. She made sure to bump into him in the lobby, dressed in a power suit that cost more than his car payment. "I'm so sorry," she said in a voice slightly different from Elena's, adding a hint of a European accent. "I wasn't watching where I was going." Marcus looked at her with interest, his eyes traveling over her expensive clothes and jewelry. "No harm done. I'm Marcus Blackwood. You must be new to the building." "Victoria Sterling. I just moved here from London. I'm in tech investment." She extended her hand, and when he shook it she felt nothing. No spark, no love, no pain. Just cold determination. "Tech investment? We should talk. I run a company that might interest you." His smile was the same charming one that had once made Elena's heart flutter. Now it just looked fake and practiced. "I'd like that. Here's my card." Victoria handed him an elegant business card with gold lettering. "Call me. I'm always interested in new opportunities." As she walked away, she could feel his eyes on her. The trap was set. Now she just needed patience. Revenge, she had learned, was a dish best served cold. And Victoria Sterling had become as cold as ice. That night, Victoria stood on her new balcony, looking out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, her father was grieving for a daughter who wasn't really dead. Somewhere out there, Marcus and Sophia were living off stolen dreams and blood money. But their time was running out. "I'm coming for you," Victoria whispered into the night wind. "And when I'm done, you'll wish I had really died in that ocean." Thunder rumbled in the distance and rain began to fall. Victoria stood in the rain, letting it wash over her, baptizing this new version of herself. Elena Monroe was gone forever, but Victoria Sterling was just beginning. And she would burn their world to ashes, just as they had burned hers. The game had started, and this time Victoria would make sure she won. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment below. Would you seek revenge or try to move on? Coming next, where Victoria begins her master plan to destroy everything Marcus and Sophia built on lies. Victoria Sterling became the talk of the city within weeks. She attended every important business event, charity gala, and high society gathering. Her reputation as a brilliant investor with seemingly unlimited funds opened every door. People whispered about the mysterious blonde who had appeared from nowhere and was already making waves in the tech industry. Marcus called her within 3 days of their first meeting. Victoria let the phone ring twice before answering, playing the game perfectly. "Victoria Sterling speaking." Victoria, this is Marcus Blackwood. We met in the lobby last week. I was hoping we could discuss that investment opportunity over dinner. His voice was smooth, confident. He had no idea he was speaking to a ghost. Of course, Marcus. I've actually been researching your company. Very interesting work you're doing. Victoria kept her voice cool and professional, even though her heart was pounding. This was the man who had destroyed her life, who had pretended to love her while plotting to steal everything. How about tomorrow evening? 8 o'clock at Marcello's. Marcello's had been Elena's favorite restaurant. The place where Marcus had proposed to her on one knee, with photographers conveniently present to capture the moment for society magazines. Victoria wanted to see if he would recognize the irony. He didn't. Perfect. I'll make a reservation. I look forward to it, Victoria. He hung up, and Victoria allowed herself a cold smile. The spider had walked right into her web. The next evening, Victoria dressed in a black designer dress that was both elegant and powerful. Her platinum hair was styled in soft waves, and her green contacts made her eyes look like emeralds. She looked nothing like the Elena Monroe who had died 6 months ago. That girl had worn soft colors and genuine smiles. Victoria Sterling wore armor and calculated expressions. Marcus was already waiting when she arrived. He stood when he saw her, his eyes appreciating what he saw. Victoria, you look stunning. Thank you. She sat down gracefully, accepting the wine menu from the waiter. Shall we order first? Or would you prefer to discuss business right away? Let's enjoy our meal first. Business can wait. Marcus leaned forward, turning on the charm that had once fooled Elena. Tell me about yourself. Victoria Sterling is a mysterious name in a city that loves gossip. Victoria smiled, an expression that didn't reach her eyes. Mystery is good for business. People are more interested in investing with someone intriguing. She sipped her wine, watching him over the rim of the glass. But I can share some things. I grew up in Europe, studied at Oxford, made my fortune in cryptocurrency and tech startups. Now I'm looking for the next big opportunity. Everything she said was technically true. Elena had studied abroad for a year at Oxford. She had been investing in cryptocurrency secretly, building a nest egg her father didn't know about. The new identity was built on fragments of truth, making it unshakable. #### infiltrating their world. Over the next month, Victoria became a regular presence in Marcus's life. She attended meetings at his company, reviewed financial reports, and asked intelligent questions that impressed his board of directors. She was careful, professional, never giving him any reason to suspect she was anything other than what she appeared to be. But she was also watching, learning, discovering all the cracks in his empire. Marcus's company was built on stolen technology from Monroe Tech, patents he had gained access to through his engagement to Elena. But he had also been embezzling money, cooking the books, and making deals with questionable overseas partners. He was a criminal hiding behind expensive suits and a charming smile. Victoria documented everything. She hired private investigators to dig deeper. She created false accounts to track his money trails. Every piece of evidence was carefully stored in encrypted files that would eventually bury him. It was at a charity gala 6 weeks after their first dinner that Victoria finally encountered Sophia. The blonde woman wore a red dress that hugged her curves, diamonds glittering at her throat. She was on Marcus's arm, smiling and waving to people like a queen greeting her subjects. Victoria approached them with a champagne glass in hand, her face a mask of polite interest. Marcus, good to see you. Aren't you going to introduce me to your companion? Of course. Victoria Sterling, this is Sophia Chan, my girlfriend. Marcus pulled Sophia closer, and Victoria saw the possessive gesture for what it was. Sophia was a trophy, just as Elena had been. It's lovely to meet you. Victoria extended her hand, and when Sophia shook it, she felt a surge of rage so powerful she had to fight to keep her expression neutral. This was the woman who had betrayed 15 years of friendship. The woman who had smiled to her face while sleeping with her fiancé. The woman who might have helped plan her murder. Marcus talks about you constantly, Sophia said, her voice sweet but her eyes calculating. She was sizing Victoria up, recognizing potential competition. He says you're considering a major investment in his company. I'm considering several investments. Marcus's company is interesting, but I believe in diversifying. Victoria smiled, and this time she let a little warmth show. She needed Sophia to trust her or at least to underestimate her. Perhaps the three of us should have dinner sometime. I'd love to hear more about your work, Sophia. Marcus mentioned you're in marketing. Sophia's expression shifted slightly, pleased that Marcus had talked about her. Yes, I run my own boutique marketing firm. We specialize in luxury brands. How fascinating. I'm actually looking for someone to handle marketing for a new venture I'm launching. Maybe we could collaborate. The lie came easily. Victoria had become very good at lying. Survival had taught her that truth was optional, but revenge was essential. #### planting seeds of doubt. The dinner happened a week later at Victoria's penthouse. She had her chef prepare an elaborate meal, and the apartment was decorated to impress. Everything was designed to show wealth, power, and success. Everything was designed to make Marcus and Sophia want what she had. As they ate, Victoria carefully guided the conversation, asking questions designed to reveal cracks in their relationship. How did you two meet? You seem so perfectly matched. Marcus and Sophia exchanged a quick glance, and Victoria saw the moment of hesitation. We met through a mutual friend, Marcus said vaguely. His late fiancé, actually, Sophia added, and Victoria saw something flash in her eyes. Guilt? Triumph? It was hard to tell. Elena Monroe. She died in a terrible car accident last year. How tragic. Victoria kept her voice sympathetic. Were you close to her? She was my best friend. Sophia's voice caught slightly, and for a moment, Victoria wondered if there was any real grief there. We grew up together. Her death devastated me. Not enough to stop sleeping with her fiancé, Victoria thought bitterly. But out loud she said, that must have been so difficult. Finding love in the aftermath of such tragedy must have been complicated. It was, Marcus agreed, reaching for Sophia's hand, but Victoria noticed that Sophia pulled away slightly, using the excuse of reaching for her wine glass. Interesting. Cracks were already forming. Over the next few weeks, Victoria carefully widened those cracks. She invited Sophia to lunch without Marcus, building a friendship based on lies. She complimented Sophia's style, her intelligence, her ambition. She made Sophia feel seen in ways Marcus never did. And she planted tiny seeds of doubt. Marcus seems very focused on work, Victoria mentioned casually during one lunch. Does that ever bother you? Sophia's expression tightened. Sometimes. He's always in meetings, always on his phone. Even when we're together, he's not really present. That must be lonely. Victoria reached across the table and squeezed Sophia's hand in a gesture of sympathy. Inside, she felt nothing but cold satisfaction. You deserve someone who makes you a priority. With Marcus, Victoria played a different game. She flirted subtly, just enough to make him notice her as a woman, not just an investor. She laughed at his jokes, touched his arm during conversations, and let her gaze linger a moment too long. She made him want her, knowing that his ego wouldn't let him resist the challenge. You're an extraordinary woman, Victoria, Marcus said one evening after a business dinner. They were standing outside the restaurant, and he had moved closer than was professionally appropriate. Beautiful, brilliant, and mysterious. I find myself very drawn to you. Marcus, you have a girlfriend. Victoria's tone was gently chiding, but her body language said something different. She didn't step away. Sophia and I were complicated. What we have isn't real love. It's convenience. He reached up and tucked a strand of her hair behind her ear. A gesture that once would have made Elena's heart flutter. Now it just made Victoria want to break his fingers. With you I feel something different. Something real. Victoria laughed softly, a sound like breaking glass. Real? You don't even know me, Marcus. Then let me get to know you. His hand moved to her waist, pulling her closer. Have dinner with me. Just us. No business talk, no pretenses. And what about Sophia? Victoria asked, even though she knew the answer. Men like Marcus always had the same response. What she doesn't know won't hurt her. There it was. The same attitude that had let him betray Elena. The same selfishness that had destroyed everything. Victoria pretended to consider letting the moment stretch. Then she stepped back, putting distance between them. I'll think about it. But Marcus, I'm not the kind of woman who shares. If I decide to pursue something with you, Sophia would have to be out of the picture completely. She walked away, leaving him wanting more. The game was progressing perfectly. ####the business takeover. While Victoria was playing games with their relationship, she was also destroying Marcus's company from the inside. She had convinced him to accept a major investment from her, giving her a seat on his board of directors. From that position, she had access to everything. She discovered that Marcus had been selling company secrets to overseas competitors. She found evidence of fraud, embezzlement, and corporate espionage. Every crime was carefully documented and stored in her encrypted files. But she didn't expose him yet. She wanted him to feel secure, to think he was winning, before she pulled the rug out from under him. Victoria also started buying up shares of Marcus's company through shell corporations. She was careful, making the purchases small enough that no one noticed a pattern. But slowly, surely she was gaining control. Soon she would own more of his company than he did. Her investigation also uncovered something else. The accident that had nearly killed her wasn't random. Marcus had hired someone to force her car off the road. Text messages between him and a man named Viktor Petrov proved it. Marcus had wanted her dead, so he could inherit her shares of Monroe Tech through their engagement contract. Sophia had known about the plan and had agreed to it. They had tried to murder her for money and power. The betrayal was even worse than Victoria had imagined. But now she had proof. And proof was power. ###unexpected feelings. It was at a tech conference that Victoria met Adrian Cross. He was Marcus's biggest competitor, the CEO of Crosstech Industries, and according to industry gossip, he and Marcus had been enemies since college. Adrian was everything Marcus wasn't. Tall where Marcus was average height, dark-haired where Marcus was blonde, and most importantly, honest where Marcus was corrupt. Victoria had researched him, of course. She researched everyone. Adrian Cross had built his company from the ground up with no questionable deals or stolen technology. He was known for being tough but fair, demanding but respectful. His employees loved him. His competitors feared him. And he had apparently hated Marcus Blackwood for years. "You're Victoria Sterling," Adrian said when they were introduced at a networking event. His handshake was firm, his gaze direct. "The mysterious investor everyone's talking about." "Guilty." Victoria smiled, and this time it felt almost genuine. There was something about Adrian that made her want to lower her guard, which was dangerous. "And you're Adrian Cross, Marcus Blackwood's nemesis." "I prefer to think of him as an annoying mosquito I'm constantly swatting away." Adrian's eyes crinkled with humor. "Though I hear you're investing heavily in his company." "Brave move, considering it's built on a foundation of lies." Victoria's interest sharpened. "What do you mean?" "Marcus Blackwood is a fraud. His company's major patents were stolen from Monroe Tech after his fiancée died. Everyone knows it, but no one can prove it." Adrian's voice was hard with anger. Elena Monroe was a brilliant woman. She didn't deserve what happened to her. Hearing her real name from his lips made Victoria's heart skip. "You knew her." "We met a few times at industry events. She was smart, kind, and genuinely passionate about technology. Not like Marcus, who just sees dollar signs." Adrian looked at Victoria with concern in his eyes. "Be careful with Blackwood. He destroys everything he touches." "I can take care of myself," Victoria said coolly. But something about Adrian's genuine concern warmed a part of her she thought had died in that ocean. "Though I appreciate the warning." Over the next few weeks, Victoria and Adrian kept running into each other. First she thought it was coincidence. Then she realized he was arranging it, finding excuses to be at the same events she attended. He would seek her out in crowds, bring her drinks, and engage her in conversations that had nothing to do with business. "Why are you really interested in Blackwood's company?" Adrian asked one evening. They were on the balcony of a corporate event, looking out at the city lights. "You're too smart to not see what he is." Victoria considered lying, but something about Adrian made her want to tell the truth. "Part of it, anyway. Let's just say I have my reasons." Reasons that have nothing to do with profit. Adrian turned to face her, and his eyes were searching. You're planning something. Taking him down from the inside. What makes you say that? Victoria kept her expression neutral, but her heart was racing. Could he see through her disguise? Because I've been trying to expose him for 3 years. I know what determination looks like. Adrian stepped closer, and Victoria felt a flutter of something she hadn't felt in a long time. Attraction. Real attraction, not the fake flirtation she used on Marcus. If you're going after Blackwood, I want to help. Why? Victoria asked. What's he to you? He ruined my sister. She worked for Monroe Tech and was blamed for the data breach that let him steal those patents. She lost everything. Her job, her reputation, her confidence. Adrian's jaw tightened with anger. She tried to tell people that Marcus was behind it, but no one believed her. A year later she killed herself. So yes, I have reasons to want him destroyed. Victoria felt her walls cracking. Adrian had lost someone too. He understood betrayal and the need for justice. I'm sorry about your sister. Are you going to tell me what he did to you? Adrian asked softly. Maybe someday. Victoria wasn't ready to reveal her identity yet. Not even to someone who might understand. But not today. Fair enough. Adrian pulled out a business card and wrote a number on the back. This is my private cell. When you're ready to move against him, call me. Whatever you need, I'm in. As Victoria took the card, their fingers touched, and she felt electricity spark between them. It was unexpected, unwanted, and utterly terrifying. She had trained herself to feel nothing. Emotion was weakness. But Adrian Cross was making her remember what it felt like to be human. That night, Victoria stood in her penthouse looking at Adrian's card. She should throw it away. Romance had no place in revenge. But instead, she tucked it into her wallet, next to the old photo of Elena Monroe she kept hidden there. Maybe, just maybe, there was room for both. #### the web titans. 3 months after Victoria's arrival in the city, everything was in place. She owned 45% of Marcus's company through various shell corporations. She had documented evidence of all his crimes. She had Sophia questioning the relationship, seeing Marcus's true nature through carefully planted doubts. And she had Adrian as an ally, someone who wanted Marcus destroyed as much as she did. The annual tech industry gala was approaching. It was the biggest event of the year, where deals were made and reputations were built or destroyed. Victoria had been planning for this night since the beginning. This would be where she started the final phase of her revenge. She invited both Marcus and Sophia to be her guests at her private table, one of the most prestigious seats in the venue. Marcus was thrilled, seeing it as a sign that Victoria was ready to take their relationship to the next level. Sophia was suspicious but agreed to come. Adrian would be there too, though at a different table. Victoria had briefed him on parts of her plan, and he was ready to play his role. Everything was choreographed like a ballet of destruction. The night before the gala, Victoria received an unexpected visitor. Maria, the nurse who had helped her recover, called and asked to meet. They met at a quiet cafe far from the city center. I've been following the news, Maria said, her kind eyes worried. This Victoria Sterling everyone's talking about. That's you, isn't it? Victoria didn't deny it. Yes. And you're going after the people who hurt you. It wasn't a question. Elena or Victoria or whoever you are now, please be careful. Revenge has a way of consuming people. I've seen it before. They tried to kill me, Maria. They murdered my life, stole everything I had, and then tried to make sure I could never come back. Victoria's voice was cold. They deserve what's coming. Maybe they do. But what will be left of you when it's over? Maria reached across the table and took Victoria's hand. That man you mentioned, Adrian. He sounds like someone who could give you a real future. Don't let your past destroy that possibility. I don't know if I can have a future until I've dealt with my past, Victoria admitted. It was the most honest thing she had said in months. Then deal with it. Bring them to justice. But don't lose yourself in the process. Maria squeezed her hand. Elena Monroe was a good person. Don't let Victoria Sterling forget that. As Victoria left the cafe, Maria's words echoed in her mind. She had been so focused on revenge that she hadn't thought about what came after. But there was no turning back now. The web was complete. Tomorrow night she would spring the trap. And Marcus and Sophia would finally pay for their crimes. The web of revenge is tightening. But will Victoria's growing feelings for Adrian complicate everything? Part 3 reveals the explosive conclusion where truths are exposed, justice is served, and Elena must choose between revenge and love. The night of the tech industry gala arrived with perfect weather. The venue, a historic hotel ballroom, glittered with crystal chandeliers and golden decorations. 1,000 candles created a warm glow that made everyone look beautiful. Photographers lined the red carpet, capturing arrivals of the city's most powerful people. Victoria Sterling made her entrance alone, wearing a gown that cost more than most people's yearly salary. It was deep emerald green, matching her contact lenses, with a plunging neckline and a slit that showed her legs with every step. Her platinum hair was styled in an elegant updo, and diamonds sparkled at her throat and wrists. She looked like a queen going into battle. Heads turned as she walked through the ballroom. People whispered and pointed. In just 4 months, Victoria Sterling had become one of the most talked about women in the city. Everyone wanted to know her, do business with her, or be seen with her. Marcus was waiting near the bar, his eyes lighting up when he saw her. He wore an expensive tuxedo that probably cost more than it was worth, trying to project success he no longer truly had. "Victoria, you look absolutely breathtaking." "Thank you, Marcus." She accepted the champagne he offered, not planning to drink it. She needed to stay sharp tonight. "Where's Sophia?" "She'll be here soon. She had some work emergency." Marcus's tone suggested he didn't really care. That was part of Victoria's plan working.